Hello, welcome to my watercolour painting channel. It's Diane McNaughton here. In this video I'm going to feature loosening up. Number one technique of being loose is to be experimental and playful. Keep all your little bits of offcuts of watercolour paper and create these little experiments and keep them. Write little notes to yourself. I put little flowers and then I drop in paint next to them. Along with watercolour, I might also shave in some pastel or a little bit of ink, and then I write the names of the paints I used and what sort of media I used. It's great, and keep these in a file for your reference, for future reference. Second most important technique when you want to loosen up your watercolours is control of your edges. Of course you have hard, soft and broken edges. It is the soft edges and the broken edges that create the mystery and looseness in your watercolour paintings. You create a soft edge when you have two different objects next to each other of different colour, but their value, that's the light and dark value, is the same. And you can create these beautiful passages in your paintings where there are no hard lines. Now, how do you sort that out? Well, I do preparation drawings. This is not the drawing of that painting, but it's another one that I did. And I prepare where my hard lines are going to be, and then where my soft lines or my broken edges, I don't draw a line, I create a passage. And they create these beautiful, interesting passages through your painting. And where the broken lines are, I rub out. So I have a really good reference before I get going with my painting. The next technique is to mix your paint on the paper. I often create a shape, the pencil, create a shape and drop in the first colour and then add some other colours to it. I've added red here and a bit of purple here, a bit of blue, and see what happens. It's so exciting to do this. Just let it happen on the paper. The fourth technique that I really love is to do a bit of sketching in and outdoors. You can't get all the detail in, so you slowly learn how to create a simplified version of your subject. I love to do sketching in my journal. I'm now going to do a demo showing some techniques that will help you loosen up your paintings. I've roughly drawn some petunia flowers, white petunias. I've painted them before, so I don't have them in front of me. They're just rough shapes, and I'm going to create a loose painting with them. Apologise for the bit of sun that's coming in there now. I'm just adding, I sprayed the paper a little bit, and I'm just adding a bit of my Aureolin and Manganese blue sporadically over the paper. My first layer, I just want to get a little bit of warmth and cool on the actual flowers. I'm not leaving them white this time. I'm going to be doing negative painting, but I just want a little bit of colour there already to give me some flowers. So I'm also trying not to make too many hard lines here. Here and there I'm actually leaving some white of the flowers to give me some nice edges there. So you can see some of the shapes are emerging, but I am softening the edges as well, so that some of that lovely blue, it's a gorgeous blue, manganese blue, foreshadows on petals, especially white petals. It just is so delicate, lovely. My first layer is now dry, and I'm now coming round doing a bit of negative painting, which I love, and I'm using a darker blue. I'm using Winsor blue because I want to create some lovely darks in this layer, and it's quite a powerful colour, Winsor blue, and it mixes beautifully with the permanent Carmine to make a nice dark purple. So I'm just working a space at a time, an area at a time, where I'm putting in the paint, softening some edges, and then dropping in some more stronger paint. I'm also trying to create some runbacks. I want some texture in this, so it's a very freeing kind of way of painting. I even splatter in some clear water with my palette knife. I'm going to drop in some strong paint, and then I lift the board and let it run a little bit. Now this is just purely random. I have no plan here. I'm just playing with the three colours and letting them mix on the paper in an interesting way and seeing what happens. It's not for the control freaks. So I'm doing a bit of positive painting there when I'm painting in the flower, and then I continue to drop in some. Here I am splattering with a bit of water with my palette knife, and then I carry on round. I'm turning the board so you can see. I'm just doing a portion of the painting at a time. Then I go back in while it's still wet and drop in some more dark and soften some of the edges. There we go. That's lovely. I love that dark paint. A bit of blue and a bit of carmine in there. And then lift it up and let it run. And soften some edges. Keep my eye on where I've painted already. Add in some yellow. Oh, look at how that lovely Aureolin just goes. Now continue round a bit. Round some more shapes, and I actually leave some shapes from that previous wash. I don't cover it all with this wash. I leave some sort of leaf shapes or foliage shapes, which I can then come over with a glaze, a yellow glaze later, or drop it in as the paint is drying. This is a lovely freeing way to paint. It really is. You are not painting flowers. You're not prescribed by. Nobody can see. I'm adding a bit more splatter here. What your shapes are and what you're looking at. This is you creating something. You're creating your painting, and it's from your imagination almost. So this is the really best way of getting going with painting from your imagination. Coming round that shape there, and then leaving a whole lot of little shapes here in the background, because this is as the flowers go back, you want to create some sort of smaller shapes to give it some sort of distance, or three-dimensional. Giving some more splatter there. You can see how it works. It really is a timing thing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it just mushes into not much at all, so you have to keep your eye on it. Softening some edges there. So I'm coming around the whole paper, the whole painting with my second wash, my second layer. Now there's a lovely interesting little gap that I've created here between the flowers. So I'm just adding some of my background colour to that gap between the flowers. And adding a bit of dark. And then I need to just integrate it in by softening some of the areas into the flowers and creating some little lines to create an interesting shape. I'm going to now paint some of the centers of the flowers. So there's a nice rounded area there, which I want to keep that little hard line, where I add a little bit of carmine, permanent carmine, and then some yellow to it. And then I soften the yellow going away from it. So one side is a hard line, the other side is a soft line. I'm adding a little bit of manganese blue to the shadow areas of the petals. Manganese blue is a lovely colour to use on white flowers where you just want a subtle shadow. It's also great for painting shadows in snow. Now I'm going to add some really dark areas to the painting underneath the flower. So I'm using the Winsor blue and permanent carmine quite thickly. It's quite creamy and not a lot of water. And then I'm adding some of the yellow to it as well. And I'm just making it really dark against the flowers, and then I soften it towards the edge of the painting. And I create some shapes as well from the previous wash. I'm not covering it all. And I'll probably fill in some of the shapes with yellow just to make it look like leaves. Painting is just about finished now, and I've just got a few areas to resolve, adding a bit more manganese blue to the petals to soften them into the painting so they don't stick out too much. Now I'm concerned with the shape of the one petunia, so I'm going to have a look. I've got some little pieces of paper that are painted that I hold against to check out if I want to change something. The little bits of tissue paper, and I can create shapes without painting first and see where I want to put. And I think, okay, I'm going to paint, because it's a bit of a quite a diagonal there that needs to be broken. So I'm softening there, and then I'm going to add some paint just to soften that strong diagonal line that the petals make. Break it up a little bit. And then I think I need to sort of sort out that bit underneath that flower. Soften it into the background a bit. See how that goes. I always have a look at the end of the painting to see what else I need to do. I think I'm going to put a little bit of shadow there on the left-hand petunia to give it a bit of contrast. And I think that's just about done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this loosening up demonstration, and you'll be able to apply some of the techniques into your own painting practice.